Greetings all. My name is Vishal Singh. I am currently a Masters of Education student at the University of Johannesburg. This is my report on the crisis we face with out-of-school children and youth, with a specific focus on the Sub Saharan Africa. In particular, I will focus on South Africa and Botswana within the Sub Saharan region. New data on the world's out-of-school children by UNESCO Institute for Statistics, UIS, reveal little or no progress for more than a decade. With about 258 million children, adolescents, and youth out of school in 2018, around one-sixth of the global population of this group. This is represented by half in Sub-Saharan Africa. The data reinforce concerns about the prospects of reaching global education targets by 2030. The vast majority of out-of-school children live in the world's poorest countries. The new data on out-of-school children also highlight the gap between the world's richest and poorest countries. According to UIS data, 19% of primary-age children, roughly 6 to 11-year-olds, are not in school in low-income countries compared to just 2% in high-income countries. The gap grows even wider for older children and youth. About 61% of all youth between the ages of 15 and 17 are out of school in low-income countries compared to 8% in high-income countries. Sub-Saharan Africa has the highest out-of-school rates. The 98 million represents 38% of the global out-of-school number of children that are out of school. Sub-Saharan Africa is not only the region with the highest out-of-school population, but also the region where this population is growing. Since 2009, the out-of-school population has increased by 20 million, reaching 98 million in 2021. Out-of-school rates among primary school aged children have been consistently declining, with the result that 1 in 5 children are still not enrolled. But the main challenge is among adolescents and youth whose out-of-school rates have stagnated since 2010 at 33% and 48% respectively. Within the Sub-Saharan Africa region, the two countries I have decided to compare is South Africa and Botswana. I have chosen South Africa as it is where I live and wanted to see how we compare to the rest of Africa and the world. Botswana I have chosen as it is very similar to South Africa in that it is another former British colony in Southern Africa. Like South Africa, it is one of the wealthiest countries in Sub-Saharan Africa. Its government structures also mirrors that of South Africa as it has a president elected by the country's parliament. Tswana is also one of the official languages of South Africa and many of its people speak it natively in Botswana. In addition to that, Botswana is also very similar to South Africa in terms of its unemployment rate, its inflation rates, its cost of living, and income. When we do look at population and area, there is a difference. Botswana is much smaller than that of South Africa. It's about half the size. And the population of Botswana is much lower, with 2.6 million compared to South Africa's population of around 59 to 60 million. Let's look at some of the reasons why children drop out of school in South Africa and Botswana. Some of the key reasons cited as being poverty and economic barriers, the lack of nutritional support, academic challenges, substance abuse, limited access to quality education, and also early marriage and teen pregnancy as key reasons within this area. The out of school dropouts does have a huge impact on the countries itself. The impact of high school dropout rates can be significant and wide-ranging, affecting individuals, communities, and society as a whole in various ways. Here are some of the key aspects. It does have a negative impact with limited employment or career opportunities for people that drop out of school. There's an increased risk of poverty. It leads to higher crime rates. There's an increased reliance on social services. It reduces the economic growth, and it leads to more health disparities. When we compare Botswana in particular to South Africa and with the rest of the world, we see the completion rate at primary education at 97% for Botswana in 2016. That was the last data that we were able to gather. And 98% for South Africa, and this was as of 2021. The numbers do seem fairly positive in the early stages. The world completion rate at this point is 87%. This is the number that has completed primary education. As mentioned, this number does look fairly positive, but does deteriorate in the later stages of education. When we take a look at completion rates at the lower secondary education phase, we see that Botswana completion rate now drops to 89%, and South Africa completion rate at this stage drops to 80%. That represents a drop of 9% and 18% respectively when compared to primary education phase. This represents the ratio of the number of entrants in the last grade of lower secondary education. The biggest problems, however, come in when we start looking at completion at upper secondary education. We see the completion rate at upper secondary education at 54% for Botswana, and this is as of 2016, and 63% for South Africa as of 2021. Here we see the biggest drops, with close to half the target dropping out prior to completing high school. The world completion rate at this point is 58%. This represents the share of people 3 to 5 years above the expected age of completion that have completed their upper secondary education. A look at addressing the high school dropout rate in Sub-Saharan Africa. Addressing the high school drop-off rate in Sub-Saharan Africa requires a multifaceted approach that includes providing academic support, social and economic support, addressing economic barriers, and creating a positive school environment. It is important for community schools and families to work together to identify and address these underlying causes to help students stay engaged and to complete their education. Listed here are some of the key initiatives that could be looked at addressing this challenge. Improving access to quality education. Again, this could mean building and maintaining well-equipped schools, especially in rural and undeserved area, ensuring there are enough qualified teachers and providing them with continuous support. Secondly, addressing economic barriers. Thirdly, promoting gender equality. Fourthly, reducing child labor, enforcing and strengthening child labor laws to prevent children from engaging in hazardous work that interferes with their education. Community engagement: involve local communities in decision-making processes related to education to ensure that schools meet their specific needs. Teacher training and support: invest in teacher training programs to improve teaching quality and ensure educators are well prepared to address the diverse needs of their students. Youth engagement and support: create mentorship programs that pair older students with younger ones to provide academic and emotional support. Promote digital and distance learning: leverage technology to provide access to education, especially in areas with limited physical infrastructure. This includes online courses, educational apps, and televised lessons. And finally, advocate for policy changes. Reducing the high dropout rate in Africa is a long-term endeavor that requires sustained effort and investment. A comprehensive and collaborative approach that considers the unique challenges of each region and community is essential for making progress towards this important goal. I hope you found that valuable. Thank you.